Just when you thought it couldn't get any looser, it does. Rand Kelly is back. We are going to talk a little Brian Wilson. We are talking the Beach Boys. We are talking the good, the bad, the ugly. We're keeping it real in the field. We want to hear from you. Let's do this.
Grant's Rock Warehouse. Now with the look and feel of hand-tooled leather.
Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse. And tonight I want to welcome Rand Kelly to the show. We are going to have a loose discussion. If anybody knows how the warehouse runs, we're very loose. And we're not going to get any looser than we're getting looser. We're not going to get any more loose than we are tonight. That's it. Rand Kelly's here, ladies and gentlemen. Look at him. Look at him just smiling. We are going to talk about Brian Wilson. Now, we may touch upon the Beach Boys career. We're going to touch about the solo career. I haven't really went into that, how I feel about it. I know Rand loves everything, Brian Wilson. Right, Rand?
Well, not every song, but I really love his. I love his compositional style, and I love his voice, especially when it was before he started smoking.
Yeah, he should never have smoked.
No,
but you know what?
voice.
You have to admit, if you listen to Beach Boys Love You, he sounds pretty battered there.
Yeah,
but by the time he got to
ragged.
By the time he got to 1988, he quit smoking. He did the Brian Wilson solo album. He sounded a lot better. In fact, he kept sounding better as he kept going. Exactly.
Since you brought that up.
But think about it. If you listen to the Smile stuff, you listen to Pet Sounds, he had the voice of an angel. You listen to Surf's Up, where Brian is just playing the piano and singing to his own accompaniment. Absolutely.
I saw that on the Leonard Bernstein special. That was, my mom used to make me watch that young person's concert thing with Leonard Bernstein. And they showed Brian Wilson sitting in the sandbox playing the piano, and he sang Surf's Up. And I'm still, to this day, I don't know how he hits that high F.
That's because he can sing
domino on the domino. I can hit that note, but it'd be so loud people would have to leave the room.
Oh, damn it. Damn it, Rain, you know you're no Brian Wilson, so don't even try to hit that. No, don't sing. Don't sing.
I wasn't going to try.
You're trying.
That note is out of my reach. Carl had no problem hitting it either. And I think the reason he said he wanted Carl to do it because he thought Carl was a cleaner singer than he was. On the Surf's Up album, that's the first time I heard it. I bought that when I was in the Air Force. And the reason I was attracted to it, because the cover, there was a amusement park up about 90 miles north of Eureka, Crescent City, in that area called Trees of Mystery. And they had that Indian sitting on that horse with the spear through his body, sitting right there. And you can see it every time you drive by on the highway. So that's what attracted me to that album. And I bought it. And I didn't like anything on that album except for two songs, which was
Till I Die
and Surf's Up. The rest of the album I thought sucked.
Yeah, but I don't think that's a fair. I think this is my whole thing. I'm going to speak now. Smile was the peak. We got the Smile box set, which is absolutely stunning. There's been bootlegs of the Smile stuff that's come out. That was Brian at his peak. The problem that we had was that had Smile come out before Pepper, I think everything might have been different. But the Beatles, being that they were together, they could crank stuff out. They were working as a team. You've had Brian working by himself pretty much. They were able to produce that masterpiece before he did. And then after that, Brian's going, what's the point now? Now, I think what they should have done is finish Smile, put it out, because there's a lot of other bands that were putting out similar type things. I mean, we could say SF Sorrow, that's 68. You've got Ogden's Nut Gong. We're talking that era too. There's a lot of different, Odyssey and Oracle by the Zombies. I think it's just a shame because I think history would have been different to the Beach Boys had just Brian just said, well, all right, the Beatles, all right, they put out Pepper in June of 67. Let's finish up Smile and get it out. But we never got that. Well, we got it eventually to some degree.
2004.
But it's kind of a shame that it didn't happen when it did. Because if you listen to it now, you listen to anything. All right, go back and listen to Brian in the studio during the Smile sessions. Always in control. Go ahead and listen to Smiley Smile. Brian's running the sessions. Go listen to Friends. I mean, we're talking about the studio stuff. Go listen to Friends. Brian is in the studio controlling the sessions. Listen to 2020. He's in there controlling. He's still doing what he's doing. It's not quite on the same scale as what he was doing, but he did not step out. Everybody thinks that he stepped out of the public eye, but he really didn't. He was still producing stuff. It wasn't like into the 70s and like Holland and, after Sunflower, when they went over to Capitol, Reprise, things kind of started to change, but all that Capitol stuff, he's still doing what he's doing. But, people will keep thinking that he stepped out, but he really didn't. And I don't know what my point was, Rand.
Let me interject.
I was rambling on, Rand, and I forgot what my point was.
You said I'm talking, so I started listening. But what I was thinking, and I never thought of it until now, is why in the hell Capitol was the labels in America for the Beatles and the Beach Boys. They put out Sgt. Pepper. They put out Magical Mystery Tour. And that they're telling Brian Smile's too weird. Are you kidding me?
I think that they were basing
the Walrus, Grant.
Wasn't that November of 67 though? Yeah, yes. But the Beatles had a little bit different. They had different rules. Different rules for different. But Capitol thought that we need more surfing songs. They didn't get it. For some reason, I think that the Beatles were such big sellers that they had different rules applied to them as opposed to what the Beach Boys had.
Now check this out.
Because think about this.
Forget.
Pet Sounds was considered a flop. It sold okay.
Yeah.
But they didn't have any pull. The Beatles stuff constantly sold well.
But I heard Wouldn't It Be Nice on the radio all the time. It was out as a single.
Right.
And so was Sloop John B. They played both of those songs a lot. Nothing else off that album ever got on the radio.
No Caroline.
Not even Caroline 9 that I can remember, no. But then again, I was pretty young. I was 14, 15, something like that. But listen to this. This is the weird part. Why? Oh, I know what it was. It's not a why. Brian said, he's quoted as saying this, the reason he shelved Smile was nobody else in the band liked it except for Dennis. Everybody, maybe Carl. His brothers really always supported him, and Al Jardine too. But Mike Love was the biggest problem to Brian Wilson putting anything weird out. There's no doubt about that. And also, Brian was taking a lot of acid at the time, and they were doing that Mrs. O'Leary's Cow number. They spread out. And I didn't even know this at the time because I never met anybody to tell me, and there was no way to find out. But Smile is all over a bunch of different albums. 2020.
Because the Beach Boys kept bringing stuff out.
Yeah, Good Vibrations was a hit. It went on the radio, and everybody was just blown away. And to this day, it's considered the best single ever by anybody. What I want to say is, I didn't know about these spread out Smile songs, because I didn't know there was an album called Smile that had been shelved. I just saw Smile and thought, okay, Good Vibrations. She's going bald. It's like the weirdest thing I've ever heard in my life. That's a horrible song. But I don't think that's really Brian. I think that was written by somebody else.
No, that's Brian, but that was a different song on Smile with different lyrics.
Oh, really? Oh,
Hmm.
okay. Well, anyways, th- for some reason, Pet Sounds got a lot of accolades, and like later on, and Smiley Smile gets like shit on,
Well,
right?
Smiley
Am I
Smile.
right?
What did Carl say? Carl said Smiley Smile was a bunt instead of a grand slam.
Home run. Oh, okay. Well, it was something. They put
What?
it
But
out.
the thing I don't understand now, someone may be able to chime in, but maybe Brian was just done. But still, Brian had pull. So if he wanted to dump Smile, he could dump it. But the fact is that they went to Brian's studio and did dumb, if I can say it, dumbed down versions of a lot of the Smile tracks. But if you listen to the box set, a lot of those tracks were done.
Yeah,
Why not put those? I just don't understand.
I don't either. Oh, here's the deal. He had the concept in his head how he wanted to put all the tracks,
Yeah,
and he didn't want anybody to hear Mrs. O'Leary's Cow because I just watched the documentary, The Beach Boys and American Band, 1984.
that
I just
was,
watched
yeah.
it the other night,
Mhm.
and he absolutely says I was doing a lot of acid. I had the guys wearing fire helmets. He said we lit a
Creative.
fire inside the studio. There was
Yeah.
smoke everywhere, and there was a fire down the block. And I thought I started that fire through kind of a contact high thing because he was on acid, and you can think like that. I've been told when you take that drug. But
Well, if you've seen,
he was embarrassed by the fire section of Mrs. O'Leary's Cow. That da 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 da
I
da
don't
da
think
da
that's
da da.
true though.
Well, he said
If
it,
you
and he
go on
said
the
that was
box,
the reason. Hang on a sec. He said it. That was the reason. He didn't want it out, and also he heard Sergeant Pepper and said, "Okay, that's it. They've done it. It's over."
I agree with the pepper thing, but don't forget, Mrs. O'Leary's Cow was recorded in late 66. He returned to it in 67. There
Yeah,
are multiple versions of it on the Smile box set. There's different versions of it on the
of
Sea
course.
of
Yeah.
Tunes boot, but he did it in 66 and 67. So I'm just saying, is that really it? I think it's more the Sergeant Pepper
Well, he
thing.
brought it to
They
Capitol,
beat
and they
him
said
to the
no.
punch. Huh?
He brought it to the Capitol meeting where they were all sitting around, and he said, "Here's my album," and they said, "We're not releasing that." And that's what broke his heart. Along with his father selling all his freaking songs, the Sea of
But
Tunes.
what that was later. That wasn't 67, was it?
I thought that was about the same time. But
I thought that
anyways,
was in
I studied
69.
this. I used to have a book written by David Leaf.
Mhm.
And I also, to think of it,
I think Murray sold the catalog in 69.
hang on a second. I got an idea. Did you get this?
Yeah, but I think that's a bunch of bullshit.
That's what the girls say. But I
I
read
don't
it.
believe it. This is my
It's just
problem
my
with
own
it.
story.
Yeah, but is
Yeah,
it his story?
I think that was controlled by Landy. But anyways,
I think a lot of it was, but then I think there were a
yeah,
lot of other people that were influencers in his life. I saw Brian on the Pet Sounds tour in Cleveland. He
yeah.
sang, he had the Wonderments backing him. I don't think he was playing one keyboard part to save his soul.
I saw him do Smile from start to finish, and Jeff Beck opened the show. Um, it was pretty good, pretty amazing. Yeah, I think Brian just sat there and sang. He
Yeah,
used
he
the
did do
piano.
that. That was live.
He was, he had to do something. So he's just sitting there, and he wanted something to cover him. So he had a piano, it had wires in it, but I never heard him play it. I think that, oh, what's that guy's name with the hair? He did the most of the piano work, I
Uh,
believe.
no.
Sanji or whatever his name
Yeah,
is. He's
yeah,
an
yeah.
Indian guy. Yeah.
He's a friend of
So I think he
Shane,
was good. I think he was doing all the actual piano work. But
probably.
anyways,
But that's
it
okay because the fans were there.
the
Everybody
music is
loves
what makes
Brian.
it. Yeah, the
100%.
music is what makes it him important. The fact that he created it, and arranged it and produced it and released it from the song Surfing On. I mean, that's historical. And look how it
100%.
influenced people like the Beatles and you know who else loved them? Rick Wright from Pink Floyd. He was a big Beach Boys
I
fan.
can see that.
But yeah, I mean, I got into the Beach Boys like later. I heard them on the radio a lot. I never really bought it. The first album I ever bought by them was Surf's Up.
The first thing that I ever heard was my buddy Keith was a big Beach Boys fan, and he said, "You've got to hear Pet Sounds." This was like, I think this was 88, 87, 88. And I'd never heard it because I didn't pay attention to the Beach Boys. I was under the influence that they were just fluff, that there was really nothing there.
Yeah.
Now, once he turned me on to Pet Sounds, that did not take, when I first heard it, it took repeated listens to get it. Okay. Um, but I got it. I was also going, when I went to school at Ohio State. Do you know the band The Load? You familiar with the prog band The Load?
Raise the Load.
100%. Tom Smith, Sterling Smith. Now, you know the story behind that? You
No,
know
I just
they're
know
on Dennis's solo album?
do they sound like Emerson Lake and Palmer?
You don't have The Load, the prog
No.
album The Load?
I wish I did though.
I thought you were a fan. Okay.
No, I've
Tom
never heard of it.
Smith went to school with me at Ohio State in communications. He had access to all the Beach Boys library because he would hang out with Dennis. Dennis would pull shit out and say, listen to this, listen to this. Because, Dennis was Brian's biggest fan.
Yeah.
He would pull shit out. And Tom said he was telling me this was 88, 87 that he'd heard all this stuff. And he and his brother Sterling were out there and they got, Dennis would pick him up in the limo and they'd go right around. And if you go look on the liner notes, Sterling Smith and Tom Smith, they're on the liner notes. But yeah, he spoke really fondly about Dennis. He said Dennis was a great guy, very down to earth.
Pacific Ocean Blue album.
I think they're on that.
Okay.
I don't have it in front of me. I didn't know we were.
I've never heard that record.
Oh man, what am I going to do with you?
I've never
But
heard the
anyway,
Carls.
Sterling and Tom Smith, go check it out. Prove me I'm wrong, but they're listed in the credits. But what I'm saying is he would just go through the Beach Boys library and Dennis would pull stuff out to play. Pull out the tapes, slap it on, and Tom was just blown away by it. I'll never forget it. It was just a great era. And when he was talking about it, Rand, I was sucking it all in because I was so into it. And at the time, there wasn't that, so much a lot of Smile stuff out there in the late 80s. There might be a couple of bootleg albums, but, the fact that he heard this stuff played on a whatever, master tapes of it, it was just blew me away. He just thought it was absolutely stunning. And it is stunning. So I don't know what I was going for in that. I went on a tangent, of course.
There was a 2 for LP when I was in the Air Force that you could buy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Pet Sounds and Carl and the Passions.
Mm-hmm.
And there were
That's
people
when
in
they're
the
on
barracks.
reprise. Yeah.
And there was people in the barracks that were buying that. And I listened to some of that, but I heard more Carl and the Passions because that's what the guy played than I did Pet Sounds. Like I was saying, I heard those singles, like, wouldn't it be nice? But then it went off the radio because it was like, there were other things happening. But, Surf's Up never got radio airplay. Till I Die never got radio airplay.
Yeah, but people don't forget when Surf's Up,
Cool Water,
Sunflower, Holland, all those albums, no one cared at that point.
Forever
they were
wasn't
out
a
of
single.
favor. Huh?
Yeah. Nobody cared by then. Absolutely. Because there was so much other things going on. Prague was just going apeshit at that time. We didn't know what to call it back then, as I've said so many times. But there was all this weird music around and everything, and the Beach Boys just sounded like, oh, they don't want to move forward. They don't want to do anything new. But they had done. People went back and started listening to like California Girls and When I Grew Up to Be a Man and She's Not the Girl I Used to Know or something like that. I think the Beach Boys today is the big change.
The girl that I once knew.
Right.
Which was a single in 1965. People always look to that record like that's like the precursor to Pet Sounds.
I love Today. I think Today is the big change in what you call an adventurous compositional endeavor. It's just the same time the Beatles are doing Rubber Soul, the Byrds are doing whatever they're doing, and I don't know. But Mr. Tambourine Man, maybe.
Turn.
Yeah, a lot of 12 strings and stuff like that. And then also the Beach Boys have a lot of 12 strings going. They bought Rickenbackers, and they had Hofner basses. And these were the visuals that were being shown. But then we found out later it was the Wrecking Crew playing everything, those albums, But Hal Blaine was the drummer, not Dennis Wilson,
Don't forget,
and you can tell live. You can tell when you look at live footage of Dennis playing and you listen to Hal Blaine, you can tell. There's
Dennis was fine. But don't forget, this was the period where you had to have 3 albums out a year. I'm not sure what their contract said, but they had to crank stuff out. So they have to produce a record. The band would have to go out on tour. Brian elected to stay there and get the album ready, and then they come back and do their vocals. It is what it is. But but their contract, they put out a lot.
Can I say something real quick? Here's a quote. I want you to guess who said it. You'll never get it. When I heard I Get Around, I was like, oh my God, these guys are off the range. They're unbelievable. Who do you think said that?
Keith Moon.
Eric Clapton.
Well, I'd never heard that before.
I did. I saw him say it. I watched a video where he actually said it. He goes, when I heard I Got Around, he just says, my jaw fell to the floor. He's something like that. There's so much going on in that song. But I think that's where the turnaround is. That's Summer Days and Summer Nights. Today, those kind of albums, I think were absolute stunning. And then back then, nobody noticed.
Because they didn't know the real story behind them.
Well, I mean, even when you listen to that stuff on the radio, it was everywhere. They used to go on the Red Skelton show or whatever. I've got video of it. I've got the best of Red Skelton.
You probably were on the Red Skelton show.
I am Red Skelton. He was my favorite comedian.
Well, you remember they were on the Bob Hope show. They did California Girls.
Yeah,
or
that's
the
what I was
Bob
talking
Hope
about.
special.
Bob Hope, I meant to say with Jack Benny. You saw that? Mm-hmm. He goes, I'm ready to go out and hang 10. He goes, I don't even know what I'm saying.
But that's good. And there's a lot of great stuff, but I don't know. I just don't know what happened. I think had Smile.
I think Brian said he did himself. He said he experimented himself so much that he experimented himself right out of life. And that's where he blew it.
But I think that came later. Everybody thinks that this whole time period in 67 is where he checked out. Go listen to the sessions for Smiley Smile. Listen to the sessions for Friends. Listen to the 2020 sessions.
Oh, by the way,
he is in command of the studio. He did not check out yet.
I remember him saying that was his favorite album, Friends.
He'll say whatever that was during a Friends interview. A lot of these artists will say that's their favorite album, but
I love that song, Grant, Busy Doing Nothing. When you analyze the lyrics, or you look at the lyrics, he's actually telling people how to come to his house. He's giving a roadmap.
Yeah, I don't
And they
get it.
said it was really true. There were people driving up and go,
Well, let's
I
say
listened to
this.
the song, Brian.
Brian doing lyrics wasn't his forte.
Oh no. Mike Love was the first lyricist.
Mike
Then
Love
he
as a
had Tony
lyricist was
Asher.
good.
Then he had Tony Asher, who I think the lyrics on Pet Sounds are absolutely stellar.
Mhm.
That Tony Asher was able to convey what everybody was feeling at that age, at that time, if they would have dived into it, which I didn't at the time. But
You
listening
didn't
to it
dive
back
into it
now,
at the time? But you
no,
were a
because I
kid
only,
then, though.
well, yeah, I was 14.
That's 14's good enough.
That Sounds was released 13 or 14. So I hadn't even joined the Air Force yet.
You don't have to
That wouldn't
join the
happen.
Air Force to listen to Pet Sounds.
No, what I'm saying is I bought my first Beach Boys album when I was 18 in the Air Force.
You were a late bloomer.
Well, I saw Surf's Up on the on the shelf. And like I said, I was attracted to that cover.
Mhm.
If that cover hadn't been on there, I probably wouldn't have bought it.
So let's jump around a bit. So the
Yeah,
track
we're just
Surf.
kind of getting
What? We're gonna go an hour. We're damn near it. We got 20 minutes.
we're
So,
loose.
well, this is what we do now in the warehouse. It's all loose. So let me ask you this. When you heard Surf's Up, what were your initial thoughts?
Oh my God. I'm into music so much and I have a pretty good ear. People have told me I have perfect
I don't
pitch.
know
My
about
music
that.
teacher told me I had perfect pitch. But anyways, when I first heard Surf's Up, it didn't really move me like it does today. I wasn't ready for it, but there was something about it. And I didn't know it was Carl Wilson singing it. But like I said, the only two songs on that album that I bought that really moved me was those two songs because I hated Student Demonstration Time. I thought that was just cringy as shit. I still
Yeah,
do.
but think about it when it was released at that time when
Yeah,
everything
but
was unrest.
it sounded like Mike Love was encouraging all the kids to go out there and get their heads beat in by batons. Just like I couldn't get into it. I can't stand that song. I don't like State of the Union by Chicago for the same reason. But
Okay.
anyways, it's funny those two bands always had a connection too, or later on anyway. But I don't know. I would play it and was it Disney Girls? That I think that's kind of a lame
Bruce
song.
Johnston's song. What's wrong with
Chris
that?
Johnson. So I don't know. It just didn't move me at the time. I was listening to the Yes album and Tarkus and
So
stuff
you
like
were
that.
like everybody else. You went, and
I was just like, I mean, hey, listen, I dropped the Beatles when I went into that weird music.
all
I
right,
thought the Beatles were substandard.
all right, everybody. You heard it here first. There
Yeah.
was a
There
time
was
period
a
when
time
Rand thought that the Beatles were substandard.
There was a time
You
where
heard
I had
it.
forgotten
Good.
about the Beatles, but no,
Get
I
ready,
kept
Rand.
buying them. I kept buying them. Anyways,
But
they disappointed me with the White Album. I wanted them to go more progressive, like Magical Mystery Tour. And
progressive.
I
You
thought the
mean
White Album was
psychedelic.
such a. I don't know what it is about the White Album. I like it. I love it or whatever. I don't think it's as good as Pepper and Magical Mystery Tour.
Oh my God, you're going to set the internet on fire,
I
Rand.
don't care what
You got to
people think
watch
of me.
out what
What
you're
people think of
saying.
me is none of my business.
Yes, it is.
It's not.
But what
I have a
I'm
right to my
saying,
opinion. I say my
Beatles weren't
opinion.
prog. They were that was psychedelic.
Uh,
Now
I
that
didn't
could
say
be
they
the
were.
precursor to prog.
I
Depends
didn't
on how
say
you
they were.
look at it.
I do believe that Sergeant Pepper really was the beginning of what we call prog. I'm not the only one.
Who else
I
thinks
think
that?
the Doors had a lot to do with it too.
Well, if
But
you
we
think
don't need
about
to.
the end, don't forget that the Doors album was recorded in late 66.
Uh,
The end, think about it. Who was doing anything else like that? The Doors were really advanced, though. We talked
my
about this,
favorite song. My favorite song on that album is Crystal Ship.
but how do you feel about the keyboard sounds on that record?
Now we're talking Doors.
We are at the moment.
Vox Continental organ. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, but think about it. Late 66, and I brought this up on Brendan Schneider's
Yeah, I know
channel.
you were talking about how unique it was to have Ray Manzarek playing with his left hand on the Fender bass pedals.
100%. That's
Keys.
part of the sound. But the
Fender
problem
bass
is
keys.
that with the Vox Continental, that was late 66. It was kind of out of favor. When I read some reviews, some people thought that that first Doors album sounded kind of dated because we're talking Wooly Bully, we're talking
Yeah.
Paul Revere and
Dave
the
Clark
Raiders
5.
kind of keyboard sounds. We're
Yeah.
talking late 66, and that's kind of, but
Well,
what Pete said, can you imagine him just playing a Hammond organ on this? No.
I think live, the Vox Continental was used because it was convenient. Roadies had to carry those Hammonds around. Cindy's ex widowed husband, he had a Hammond B3, and she said it was so heavy you couldn't believe it.
Yeah, but think about it. I'm not dogging anybody during this period.
The Rascals used one, Vanilla Fudge used one. I mean, people were doing it, but then all of a sudden you had these bands like the Doors and I Butterfly and everything, and they were just doing the Continental.
But the Continental, everybody was using the Vox Continental. It was a standard, but what I'm trying to say, by late 66, it was a little bit dated. Some people have looked at those Doors records and the keyboard sounds are a little bit dated. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying that's been noticed. I love it.
In LA Woman, you have Honky Tonk Piano and Fender
But he's
Rhodes.
not using the Vox Continental anymore.
I don't think there's any organ on that album.
Probably not.
That's okay. They had a bass player on that one too.
Rant, I love the Vox Continental organ. There is nothing else that sounds like it. You can listen to the Farfisa. There's nothing that sounds like it.
I don't know if you can see this machine right here, but
here we go.
This thing here, the Emu Vintage Pro, has all those old time sounds in it. I can make any of those sounds.
Damn it. I'm a purist. Bring out that damn Vox Continental organ from 67.
There's no room for it in here. I'm surrounded by keyboards. Are you kidding? I have one exit out right there.
Hey, that's not my fault. That's not my fault.
Yeah, I bought too many. I have 11.
Did you ever own a Vox Continental?
No.
All right.
Have
you played one?
No, I was never able to do that.
All right. Just curious.
Nobody ever gave me the shot.
All right. No, I'm not judging.
I never understood why they had those black keys backwards.
Because they're cool. Vox was cool.
Why did they have the white keys be black and the black keys
be white? Because they're cool.
That was to show the bass notes.
To be cool.
It was cool.
Anyway, so we're on a tangent. We're on the Doors.
Are we here to talk about Vox Continental organ?
We could talk Vox Continental organ. What's your favorite album with the Vox Continental organ on it?
I don't know much about them.
Oh, you know.
I wish I had gotten to play one, though. I always wanted to.
No, I'm sure they're out there.
I think the Farfisa sounds good, too. I mean, Pink Floyd uses that on the Pompeii movie.
Farfisa was all over Supertramp. Or was it? No.
No, you're thinking of the Wurlitzer.
The Wurlitzer was all over.
I got that in here, too. It's called Whirly. I've got it.
Yeah, but that's not real.
What was cool about that is it would pan back and forth, just like the Rhodes. You could do it with stereo. Right through. Put the headphones on and it'll go right through your head. I can do that.
Every time I listen to you, that's what happens. It just goes through my head like that.
It's like as soon as I heard Dreamer, I knew they were using the Whirly.
Yeah, I my mistake. That's what I was thinking with Supertramp was the Wurlitzer. Okay. But that too has a very distinct tonality. That's all. That's all I'm trying to say.
Oh, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Let's go forward. Oh, by the way, I just want to say something about this. I hate this.
You don't like... Wait,
I don't like this album.
Wait. What do you mean?
I don't like...
You don't like Van Dyke Parks?
I don't like Orange Crate art.
Why?
All Van Dyke Parks did was write the lyrics.
Well, that's all he did on the others.
But all the songs that Brian wrote here are all sounding like they're from the Sting, 1922 or something. But anyways, what
Well,
I
that's
do like
because
is, can I say one thing?
yes.
I like one song. It's called San Francisco. It is so cool and it does so many cool things. It's a prog tune. And I swear to God, it reminds me of That's All by Genesis. But anyway, just wanted to say that. And let me move on here. I'm just going to show these because I think they need to be seen. 1998, great album.
Very commercial.
2004, this has Eric Clapton, Paul McCartney, and Elton John. It's called Getting In Over My Head. Love it.
It's all right.
Uh, Hang on a sec. This is my question. Do you know why he changed the lyrics to Good Vibrations?
No, I don't.
I really prefer the ones that Carl sings over the one.
Yeah, but there
to,
were different lyrics before Carl sang it. If you listen to the
yeah,
Smile bootlegs.
I didn't know that. That is weird to know that though. And this, I
No,
think
no, no.
this
I
was
don't
the
know.
last.
Was it? It's not the Smile bootlegs, but there's a Sia Tunes box set of Pet Sound stuff, and they've put all. No, I take that back. I am so sorry, Rand.
The Good
They
Vibrations
have
is
a
on my Pet
box set
Sounds box
of.
set.
They have the Sia Tunes box set. They have just a box set of just Good Vibrations.
Wow. Well, I've got
So
the Pet Sounds Sessions box
no, I'm
set.
talking about Sia Tunes, the bootleg. They have a 4 CD set of just Good Vibrations.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's the
It's called
Capitol
Good
one.
Vibrations.
It's not. No, I'm talking about the Sia Tunes box set.
Oh, well, anyways, there's a hell of a lot of Good Vibrations on this. There's all
There's
kinds of
some.
versions.
There's some.
But you can hear they're playing the Hammond organ, the kind with the flip things. I've seen video of it.
Mhm.
There's these long things. They look like Thomas. They might be Lowry. I don't know.
No,
But
no,
that
no.
beginning
That
of
was a Hammond on there, I think.
okay, so the beginning of Good Vibrations, where he's just going tap, tap, tap like that. I don't know who's playing it, the guy from the Wrecking Crew or whatever, but I just know those lyrics so well. And when I heard what he was singing yesterday on Smile, I was thinking, well, that's how he ends the album. And they changed the lyrics. I thought that was crazy.
Yeah, that's probably the original lyrics.
And then there's this, which I think is the last thing that he did that was original that he wrote called That Old Lucky Son or That Lucky Old Son. Yeah, That Lucky Old Son. Yeah. This is
Oh my
it's a
God,
pretty
there's
good
one.
record.
Oh my God.
I think it's nice. I like it.
There is one of these up. I'm surprised it's up on eBay.
Look at this. You don't get this in the LP. I got the LP. You don't get this. Look at this.
Well,
All these
right.
pictures.
Um,
But it's just pictures of LA is all it is.
so there is a box set, the Sia Tunes box set. I have to correct myself because I don't have that one. I've got a lot of the other ones.
Okay.
The Good Vibrations box set that was Unsurpassed Masters Volume 15 has 3 CDs of Smile of Good Vibrations.
That's that one song.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Why? Not if you're hardcore Beach Boys
I'm
fan.
just saying, who does that?
Who does
King
it?
Crimson. I got a King Crimson album called Thrack Attack, which is that, but it's all live, so they just changed it around live. You know what I mean?
God, the one I want up on eBay right now is $295.
Oh crap! A little out of my reach there, buddy.
Well, you had to buy these when they were out originally.
Oh, I know. That's what I keep telling my wife. She wants to know why I keep buying music.
But
and
a
I go,
lot of this stuff is available digitally if you know where to look. But I'd
yeah,
rather have the
of course.
box and the booklet
Yeah,
and
because you're a physical guy.
100%. I don't want a download. Jesus.
Okay.
No soul in that.
So you don't think that after the Beach Boys, after he left the Beach Boys, oh, let's talk about that's why God made the radio. Do you think that was a special album because Brian came in, or do you think it was just a sort of a what do you call it?
Money
A money
grab?
grab?
Money
Yeah,
grab. Beach Boys Love You was a money grab. Let's be
yeah.
honest.
But don't you think that there's songs on that's why God made the radio that just scream Brian Wilson's back in the composition?
I mean, it's fine that he's back, but it's not.
I really love that album, but that was
It's good.
2012. And then he quits the band. Like mid-tour, he's gone. And then he starts up his own tour. That's about the
As
time
he
I
should
think
have.
so.
Or
I think that's
someone
about
else
the time.
started it up for him.
I think that's Melinda Ledbetter. But I think that's about the time that he went out and toured with Jeff Beck, or 2012 or something like that.
God, here's someone's got a.
I can't remember my years very well, Grant. I'm having a hard time with it.
Well, you're getting at that point, Rand. We're going to
My
ring
experiences,
you
my
in.
experiences can't be dated because I can't remember the dates.
You don't have to remember the dates. We know that it happened. Well,
Yeah.
there's another one that I had that I sold. There was a CD called The Beach Boys Goodbye Surfing Hello God that was a 5 CD set from Japan that I had. And I don't know what I did. I must have sold it because there's one on here. They want $380 for it.
What are they asking for that Smile box set? I tried to find one of those. I can't even find it.
You're talking about the Sea of Tunes one or this?
No, the Smile, that big one you were showing the other night.
This one?
Yeah, that guy. I can't find that guy
Well, no, it's out of print.
anywhere.
But
I
I've
couldn't
got the
find
Sea
it
of
on,
Tunes one too.
I couldn't find that on Discogs.
It's there. Well, I can go look at it.
Kept showing me the one I got. I have the double disc.
You don't want that.
But you know what? I can go on Amazon and listen to what you just showed anytime I feel like it.
Well, that's the way you are. You're a millennial.
I'm a streamer.
You're a streamer. I'm not.
I just don't have the money. It's not
It's
about
not about the money.
charity.
If you
It's
want
about
it,
the
you'll
money.
get it. Oh,
No, that's not
don't give me
true.
that shit. You buy
If
all
it's
these
$500,
you buy all these freaking box sets all the time. Don't give
I
me
have
that
I have a
song
lot
and
of box
dance.
sets. I have all the
Yeah,
Jethro
don't give
Tulls.
me that, Rand.
And on the
Jesus.
11th, I'm going to get Living in the Past. It's on the
See?
way. Yeah.
Of course you are.
But I'm saying
See?
there's
So
some of
don't
these out
tell
of
me
print.
you can't get the Beach
No,
Boys
I'm
box
saying
set.
these out of print guys I can't afford. They're way out of print.
You
Way
got
out
to
of
get
my
it
league.
when you can get it. Hold on, I'm
You got
trying
to
to
pay
find it.
bills first. Anyways,
Well, we all do. You're not the
so
only one here that has to do that.
the Beach Boys were falling out of favor with the general public. And then that's why God Made the Radio
Ugh.
came out and everything changed.
Yeah, but they were already out of favor for years. The
But
thing that
something
brought the
changed
Beach
with that
Boys
band.
back was when they did the track Kokomo for whatever that
Yeah.
damn Tom Cruise movie was, Cocktail.
Yeah, it's on Still Cruising, 1983.
But it was on Cocktail first, I think.
Yeah, I saw Cocktail, but I don't remember that being on there. But okay.
Oh, it was on there. That was what really kind of brought them back into the public consciousness.
Who
Now,
wrote Kokomo?
I think it was Mike Love and maybe
Bruce Johnston?
Dean Torrance, maybe, and what's his name? The guy, Doris Day's son,
Terry Melcher.
Terry Melcher. I
That's
could be
that's
wrong.
another thing. That's another thing I was going to bring up, but I want to back up to one more thing that I forgot to bring over because it's way over there. There's a jazz album, really famous jazz musicians doing the music of Brian Wilson.
Okay.
I can't remember what it's called, but I own it, and it's really cool. All instrumental, and they just play jazz versions of his songs, and they pick good songs. Have you got that?
No, I don't care about that.
Okay.
Beach Boys
Well, we're just
being
doing a
played by
tribute to
jazz
Brian.
musicians. That
Yeah, it
doesn't
was pretty
appeal to
good.
me. If you like it,
But yeah, it's good.
but it's just
I
I don't
just
think it's necessary.
I just think Brian Wilson was so important to this world and all he did for it with his music. His music will live forever, like Stravinsky and Beethoven.
I
And
hope so.
his favorite musician was Paul McCartney, and Paul McCartney's favorite musician was Brian Wilson. So that I'll tell you something right there. That song, "A Friend Like You." I mean, I have a hard time holding back tears when I listen to that now.
Really.
Yeah, it's so touching.
All right, I'm looking now. I'm looking. I'm looking, Rand. I'm looking. Now, there's that. Where's my version? So I've got the See a Tune Smile set.
I've probably never heard of that.
Well, it's before anything came out. There's different
That's
versions. See a Tune's put out two different Smile things. You've got like a 4 CD set or a 3 CD set in the box set of Smile. And then you've got just a single CD, which kind of compiles what they thought it should be into one.
I'll tell you, the song that really moves me now musically is "Wonderful." As a musician and someone who can recognize chord changes,
Mhm.
that song loses me within the first four words. I mean, it that song is crazy.
Yeah, but I like the Smile version better than the
Smiley
Smiley
Smile.
Smile version. Doesn't Carl sing the Smiley Smile version? You get the Smile version.
Yeah, you're
Brian
you're
sings
right
it.
that yeah, Carl does sing that. But I'm talking about the version he did on this.
Oh, well, who sang it?
This is Brian. Just amazing.
Give me Brian
I
1966.
just love the chords. I wish I could get the sheet music for that so I could learn to play the chords because that's an amazing song.
I mean, if
I
you're
just
looking at
like
any of this Brian Wilson stuff, you definitely want that Smile issue where the Wonderments are backing him up. That is
live.
the peak. That is the best thing.
That's what this is.
I know.
Oh, you're talking about other people. Yeah.
I'm
Well,
just saying that
yeah,
if you're going Brian Wilson solo, that's the top of the food chain.
and there's a DVD of this too, which has the entire album performed live on stage, which is incredible. I have that DVD, but it's way over there, I think. Or no, it's over here. It's Brian Wilson's, not Beach Boys.
Okay, here it
Um,
is. I found it, Rand.
hang on.
Beach Boys Smile, the box set. So it's got two vinyl LPs. It's got two 7-inch 45s, and it's got 5 CDs.
Nice.
I'm
How
looking
much?
on more than you want to spend.
It's out of my league, I'm sure.
It's going for around, if I can find a US version of it. Oh no, my God. Here's one that's got a factory sealed one, and they want $999.
Oh, oh, oh,
But
that's
that's
way
not
too much.
realistic. I'm gonna look on eBay.
I can't spend that much on music. Sorry.
You're
Much
just
as
not
I
a
love
real
that.
fan.
That's that's my mortgage. Forget that.
You're just not a fan.
I don't have a mortgage. I own my house.
You're just
Oh,
not a
okay. So
fan. All right,
here's
here's
what I'm
one,
talking about.
$374 on eBay. I mean, it ranges. It just
Here's what I'm
depends.
talking about right here. Get this. You gotta get this.
Hmm.
This is great. And then there's this. Pet Sounds Live 11, which you did before the smile. Then there's this, an all-star tribute to Brian
That
Wilson.
looks like a bootleg.
Image Entertainment.
No, but
That's right.
it's just bad artwork.
Not a very good cover.
No.
Then there's Brian Wilson on tour.
Mhm.
These are all good. So Pete Townshend said, I love Brian. I really love him. You know, there aren't many people I would say that about. It's terrible. I find it hard to live with. Pete,
He
what are you
also
gonna do?
loves ABBA. I'm just going to leave it there. And who
Mama
doesn't
mia,
love
really?
ABBA? He does love ABBA.
I
You
know.
ever
So
see
does
that
Pete.
Pete Townsend quote? How he
Pete
loves
Pardo's a
ABBA?
big ABBA fan.
Who is?
Pete Pardo.
He loves ABBA too?
He loves ABBA.
He does.
It's ABBA, not ABBA.
What did I say?
ABBA. I think it's ABBA.
I think it's ABBA.
I don't think it
I'm in.
matters.
Nah, I don't give a shit.
It's just Swedish.
So anyway,
So
if we're going down the Brian Wilson rabbit hole without the Beach Boys, what do you recommend again? The Beach Boys live, the Smile live thing with Brian, and then
that's
what?
number one.
What's number
Pet
two?
Sounds. Pet Sounds
No, no,
Live.
no. I'm just talking Brian solo.
It is Brian Solo. I just showed you.
Yeah, but you said Brian. You said Pet Sounds.
It is. It's Brian Wilson
Oh,
plays
that.
Pet
Okay.
Sounds live in London. That's number two. And then this has so many people on it, it's ridiculous. Brian's there, of course. David Crosby, Vince Gill, Go-Go's Heart, Billy Joel, Elton John, Amy Mann, Ricky Martin, Darius Rucker, Carly Simon, Paul Simon, Matthew Sweet, Jubilant Sykes, Jimmy Webb, Wilson Phillips, the Boys Choir of Harlem, Cameron Crowe, Dennis Hopper, Rachel Hunter, Sir George Martin, and Chaz Palminteri. That's a lot.
A lot.
This is really good. This is I forgot what's on this. I'm not sure this is this has Paul McCartney's induction of Brian into the Songwriters Hall of Fame. I think it's just a bunch of stuff they compiled. It's not really a performance or this probably is a bootleg.
It looks like a
look at
bootleg.
how fancy that is.
That's a bootleg.
That's a
Man,
boot.
we can't
I
talk.
didn't know
We can't
it when
show
I bought it.
bootlegs.
I didn't know it when I bought it. It says Brian Mail Productions. Isn't that Brian Melinda?
Yes, but
It's not
some of these.
It could be a bootleg.
I'm just gonna say it's probably legit. I don't know. I don't have it.
I don't know either.
You do know. Don't act like
No,
you
I
don't
was just
know.
I was just looking at it, but I was saying of all the Brian Wilson DVDs that you can buy,
Yes,
I would go for the Smile. If you can only do one,
100%. That would be
because you
what I
get to
would
see
recommend.
the whole band perform it live for the first time ever.
Hmm.
The Beach Boys were never going to do this.
Right.
They reluctantly agreed to sing on it,
Mhm.
and then it got shelved. And by the time 2004 rolled
I
around,
don't.
Dennis was gone,
You know
and
what?
so was Carl.
You said that they reluctantly didn't want to sing on it. I don't hear that at all on the bootlegs. It's just another session. I don't hear
Over and
where
over, the corn
you're
cries
talking about
when
Mike
covered.
Love raising the stink over
No, I meant to
Van
say
Dyke
him.
Park's lyrics. But
I
if you
correct
listen
myself.
now, if
It's
you
Mike
listen to
Love.
the bootlegs or you listen to the sessions, I don't hear anything on there that has Mike Love going on a tizzy about over and over the crow cries uncover the cornfield. I
Is
don't
he the
hear
guy that
anything.
sings it?
Mike is singing over and over the crow cries uncover the cornfield. You can
Oh, in the
listen to the
original.
bootlegs and he's singing it. I don't hear any protest.
Okay.
See,
All
there's
right.
a lot of stuff. The thing is, when you listen to these bootlegs or you listen to these session tapes, we have a lot of stuff that people have made. The band member will say something, but then you go back and listen to it and it's not on there.
Yeah.
Did the Beach Boys put up, is it the reason? Because Mike Love protested that Brian stopped. When you listen to the sessions, I don't hear anything that says that the Beach Boys were against anything on Smile. Just saying.
Have you heard that? Have you watched this?
No, it looks like a bootleg.
It's Summer Dreams.
Where did you
Bruce
get?
Greenwood plays.
Oh,
Who does Bruce Greenwood play? Forgot. Bruce Greenwood plays Dennis Wilson.
I don't
The
know
guy
what that
from
is.
the guy from American Werewolf in London. He plays Brian. This is a good movie. You should see this. It's
I
very
don't
worth
need to
seeing.
see it. All I'm trying to say, ladies and
Their
gentlemen,
story.
is that there's a lot of stories, there's a lot of folklore about this stuff. Just go out and listen to it. You won't find that there's any issues
I
with
think people
anything.
should watch this movie if they like the Beach Boys. It's good.
All right, whatever.
It says the story of the Beach Boys is a revealing and frank biographical film that looks at the meteoric rise and tumultuous relationships of the legendary American group, the Beach Boys. Their classic songs captured the pulse of the California currents and swept over the nation to rapturous critical and commercial acclaim. Their success, however, was not as golden as their wholesome looks and clean, preppy style. Dennis Wilson, played by Bruce Greenwood, succumbs to the temptations of the rock and roll lifestyle, while his brother Brian,
They
Greg
all
Keane,
did.
so it's not that guy from American Werewolf in London, attempts to reconcile his family ties and his musical ambitions. But if the Beach Boys were caught up in turbulent times, they also found their way back to stable ground through faith in themselves, in their dream, in their music, and in each other. They overcame hardship and went on to become true American legends. And this has things about the dad being an asshole and hitting Brian and stuff like that. And
Well, have you heard the sessions for that during summer days and summer nights where
there's a scene.
Murray is in the studio? Have you heard the
Yeah, he goes, "I'm a
sessions?
genius too, Brian."
Yeah, that's classic stuff.
Yeah, and also there's a scene where Dennis comes to his dad's house and he says, "Pops, I'm in trouble because Charlie Manson was trying to kill him." That's all documented in that movie. That's a good movie. Summer Dreams.
All right. I could talk Beach Boys all day, Rand. We have to
Me
wrap
too.
this dog up.
But like Brian was the guy. He was the what do you call it? The creator, the caretaker of that band for
Sure.
so many years. And when he went up to bed and started gaining weight and everything,
In the
that's where
70s.
everything changed. That's where everything changed. How much involvement? Here's a question for you. How much is musically involved is Brian in Wild Honey?
A lot. Listen to
Really?
the
I thought that
sessions.
was a Carl album.
No. Well, you think it's a Carl album. Carl may be singing on it, but go listen to who's running the sessions. Brian's running the sessions. Brian's running the sessions on that. Is running the sessions on Friends. And 22. Yes, you got to go. Damn it,
Well,
Rand.
that explains. But he wasn't running the sessions on Holland, was he?
No, he was in bed.
But he did that Mount Vernon Fairway and Parkway or whatever,
Yeah.
which is a really weird thing, but I kind of like it. But
all
anyways,
I'm saying is the Capitol stuff. I don't think he had much to do with. Not that I know of. He could have, but I don't think he had much to do with Sunflower. I think that was more of a band thing.
he's on the lawn with one of the kids, but we don't know how involved he was in
That
that
was
music.
a band effort.
He wrote
but the
Cool,
Capitol
Cool Water,
stuff.
right?
It's always Brian. You got to go listen to the sessions.
Brian
running
wrote
the show.
Cool, Cool Water, didn't he?
That's a Smile track.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Jeez. Forgot about that.
Damn it, Rand.
Oh, so
We need
Wild
to wrap
Honey
this
was
dog
released.
up. Go ahead.
Wild Honey was released in mono.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
That'll tell you that Brian did that because he only
Well,
had
they
one
did
ear.
have a duophonic release of it. But,
Oh, the fake
there's a
stereo.
bastardized version of it where they've remixed it in stereo. Now,
I need to listen to that album more.
now listen to me. If you have any of the Sia Tunes bootlegs, which are off the master tapes, there are Chuck Britt stereo mixes on those things. So you've got Smile tracks, you've got Pet Sounds tracks that are mixed by Chuck in stereo on those. Now they reinvented it when what's his name? What's his name? I'm not a big fan. Remixed a lot of that stuff. I don't know why they remixed it because you had the Chuck Britz mixes on these Wild Honey, there's stereo mixes of it on the Sea of Tunes bootlegs that sound wonderful.
I'll have to check on YouTube and see if I can find those. Do you have that Pet Sounds one where it's all velvet green?
No.
It's completely velvet. It's kind of like a Odessa. I wonder how rare that's getting.
I've got I don't really care because I've got the Sea of Tunes box.
Yeah, but this is really cool. It's got embossed. I know you probably won't be able to see it, and it's really hard to get these out of these stupid containers I put them in, but these are for sandwiches. But anyways, God damn it, it's tight. Check this out. If you can read it, I don't know if you can read it.
I can read it. I see it's embossed. Okay. But what's different about that?
I wonder if it's pretty rare. It's got this has got the stereo mix to Pet Sounds, where Brian Wilson sings all of "Wouldn't It Be Nice." There's no Mike Love on it.
It's on the Sea of Tunes box set.
Yeah, okay.
With Chuck Britz's mix.
I just thought this was nice, and probably pretty rare. I also have the Fat Boy Sessions one where they do everything, but I showed you the box already. But anyways, yeah, I guess we could wrap it up. I got to try to wrap this up after we get off.
We're wrapping it up right now. Okay. All right, this was just a loose discussion, ladies and gentlemen. Little Brian Wilson's Beach Boys talk. I could talk Beach Boys all day. Go ahead.
Brian died. He was born June 20th, 1942, and he died June 11th, 2025. And we're going to miss him. It really affected me a lot. I don't know how I'm going to deal with losing Paul McCartney when he goes, but he's really important to me too.
Well, you seem to do okay. You're doing all right.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
I've had some time to process it, but God, on the 11th, I wasn't doing good.
Yeah, but how were you when John Lennon got shot?
I cried. I know exactly where I was. I was in Eureka, California, and we were parked at
I was at
some store. We were getting some beer and some Coca-Cola or root beer or something like that. And we were in the car and we're getting ready to get out of the car, and they said, "We interrupt this program for an important news bulletin. John Lennon has been assassinated in New York City," and we just were stunned.
Yeah, my mom woke me up before I was getting ready to go to school and let me know.
All right. What a wonderful way to end the show.
Well, I'll never forget that day, though.
I won't either. Anyways, I'm the oldest on these programs. Nobody's my age.
No. Only you, Rand. Only you.
September 5, I'll be 73. If the good Lord willing and the creek don't rise.
Oh. You'll be fine.
I love you, Grant. Here. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. I don't know what you can get out of this show, but hopefully you got something out of it. All right. We'll see.
We got Man from Man's Earth Band coming
I'm working on it. How do we want to break that up? How do we want to look at that?
I thought we would do 4 at a time and just more if you want. It's up to you.
I don't know why the balloons are going off, but they're going off.
This doesn't work unless I use my phone. Yeah, I know. You got all kinds of cool stuff going on.
Look, there's smoke and everything. That's all cool.
So
all right,
we can contact each other anytime we want and talk 100%.
About 100%. We will. All right, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Please like, subscribe. You know how we do this. And this was loose. I don't think we could get any looser than this.
I got one extra subscriber. I got up to 681.
Oh, my God. Everybody rejoice and hold hands. It's a good day.
It's never going to happen. I'm never going to get 1,000. I gave up.
No, you'll never get 1,000. I'm trying.
Congratulations for you, though.
Well, I'm a influencer, Rand.
Yeah, you're good, man.
I'm just doing what I do, and if it takes off, it takes off. If it doesn't, I would still do it. It doesn't matter. But yes, I feel blessed. For as old as the channel is, being 3 years old, I'm pretty happy.
I love watching your shows. You're good at this. I couldn't do it.
Fair.
I don't have the ability.
Yeah, but I can't get enough of it.
All I
I
want to
could
do
do
is
it all
make
the time.
videos, and make music videos, and put them on YouTube and watch them. Nobody will watch them.
Well, that's because they don't care.
That's right.
I care though.
You like my new guitar? Did you check it out? I
Yeah,
put a
I'm
video of
jealous
that
of
out.
that. I know I saw it. I'm jealous.
I'm going to do it again. I'm going to put it in with
How did
some
you come across that real quick before we wrap this dog up?
eBay. I was just looking for it and found it. There were two.
You bought that off eBay?
Yeah.
What is it? Were you a fan of the Ibanez artist? What was it about it?
I used to have one in 1986. I sold it. I
Yeah,
traded
but
it.
you got a 1980. That's even better.
That's what I had. I had the 1980, but mine
You
was
just said a
cherry.
1986.
No,
Oh,
I
you
said I
sold
had
it in
one in
86.
1986.
Gotcha. And how do you enjoying the Ibanez artist?
Well, it's been sitting around since I made that video, but I got
I
other
like it
things I
though.
had to do. I
You
like it.
like it.
I'm looking right at it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, good for
You
you.
want to see it?
No,
Let
well,
me
I know
see.
what it looks like. We used to sell them at the guitar store. I've seen a
I
lot of
put
them.
a picture out. Well, the video's out on
Yeah,
YouTube
yeah, I
and
don't need to
Anthony
see it. I
Kelly if
know
you
what
want
it
to
is.
watch it.
It looks just like Andy Partridge's.
I went a little crazy on that video. I started out very normal and uh, morphed into absolute insanity.
Well, that's normal for
Feedback
you.
City.
It's because
I
you're in a
wanted to test the
psychedelic moment.
feedback. I wanted to test the feedback properties of that guitar. It's amazing.
Well, those Ibanez from that era are top notch.
Oh yeah, that's the holy grail right there.
Yeah, if I
And I
had
got a
that,
Les Paul.
if I had that Ibanez artist, I wouldn't. I'm surprised someone was selling. I hope you got a good deal on it. Because you
Yeah, it
could have
was
had that
almost
Smile box set, but no, you're buying Ibanez
it
artist.
it was more than I care to share.
More than the Beach Boys box set, probably. All right, everybody. Please like, subscribe. We'll see you in the next one. Rand, keep it real. And
Okay.
I'll be in contact.
Bye bye.
Bye, everybody.